It's described as one of the most disturbing cases of elder abuse in Washington state. It's the case of Ruby Wise. Her own son was supposed to be caring for her, but instead he was found guilty in her death, manslaughter too. Here with us today, two key people in this case. Paige Ulrey, the King County prosecutor who tried Christopher Wise. She has handled hundreds of general elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation cases in her career and says this was one of the most disturbing ones. Tim Doe, a detective with the King County Sheriff's Office. This was his first case of elder abuse after working in homicide for about 7 years and has been in law enforcement for about 17. Paige and Tim, let's first start by setting the scene here for the audience. And we want to let everybody know that some of these photos may be disturbing, very graphic in nature. This was a heinous crime. So we have a son in his 40s, Christopher Wise, unemployed, said to be caring for his elderly mother, but that's not exactly what the police found when they got there on the scene. So let's listen to the 911 call from him that started it all.
911.
He is reporting that his 88-year-old mother has passed away.
Okay, sir. Or
I
ma'am?
can barely hear you.
Okay. Was this expected?
Yes.
It was?
Yeah.
Okay, sir. How long ago did she pass?
Couple minutes.
And it's only been a couple minutes, is that right?
Yes.
All right. What's your name, sir?
Christopher Wise.
Okay, Christopher. And you're her son, right?
Yes.
Okay, sir. Well, I've dispatched the fire department. They're going to come out there and talk to you, okay? And then the officers are going to come out there as well.
Okay.
Okay? You don't need to wait inside if you don't feel comfortable. You can go outside if you'd like.
All right.
Okay? We'll get someone out to you, though, okay?
Sir.
All right. Thank you, sir.
What did the officers find when they first approached that scene?
When they first walked in, they noticed a lot of garbage and clutter around the house. When we first opened the door to Ruby's bedroom, again, it's a hot summer night, and so there was a odor of urine, feces, stale air, and what I describe as rotting meat. It's decomposing flesh. Ruby was in her bed with the blanket covered up to her chest and a hospital gown. Another odd thing about her room was that there was a lack of medication. There's no prescription containers, no over-the-counter medication.
Which would be typical for an older person.
Yes, exactly. When I first saw Ruby, she died with her eyes open, and from my initial viewpoint, I can only see from her chest up. And Ruby's eyes were sunken to her cheekbone. She had no muscle or fatty masses on her face at all, down to her chest area. The skin around her clavicle and collarbone area was just wrapped around it. So I can see the skeletal structure on her shoulders.
So you know she hasn't been fed properly by seeing that.
Exactly. She's been dehydrated and malnourished. And then looking over, because I'm standing on the left side of her bed, there was a bed sore, or pressure sore, on her left shoulder, and it was black. That indicates to me that's the decomposing flesh that I smelled. Mm-hmm. And looking at closer, I could actually see her shoulder bone sticking out from that pressure sore.
This was a painful death. She's been in pain for a while.
Yes, this is not the peaceful, quiet, gently into the night, Mom, here's some medication, here's some morphine, some hospice care. This was a long time standing event that led up to Ruby's death.
I know you're trying to get some witnesses to testify. How was that? Trying to find somebody to say either, something for or against Christopher Wise and to speak for Ruby, since she could not do it, obviously.
What Detective Doe found when he searched the residence was journals of Ruby's. And these journals were incredibly poignant descriptions of what Ruby's life experience was like those last, actually, couple of years of her life. And in the journals, she often said she was in pain, she wanted to go to a doctor, she couldn't see, she was lonely. There was just very sad but very vivid descriptions of the kind of...
So they were able to speak for her in a way.
They were, they were. And that was really the best way we had of bringing Ruby alive for the jury.
Because the jury, all they got to hear was Christopher Wise.
Exactly.
Saying, I'm a caring, loving son,
and
doing the best I could.
Exactly. And he talked to Detective Doe for hours and hours in his interview, and then he testified for hours and hours. And it was all about, poor me, I'm kind of the victim here. I'm this martyr who was sacrificing my life and my career to care for my mother, and now you're prosecuting me.
What did he say about the condition of his mom?
He told me that his mom was fine. His mom was fine. He first didn't notice the bed sores till like maybe 3 or 4 days ago. When he talked about bathing and hygiene, he said he gave his mom alcohol rub baths. In my interview with Christopher Wise, we were in his living room. There was a set of earplugs that was on like a coffee table. That was in front of the couch, in front of which was next to a high widescreen TV. We asked Chris about it, and he said that he uses the earplugs to tune out his mom. And he went on to explain that his mom was wailing, regressing like a baby, in his own words, and that he used it to tune her out.
What about other people who may have offered to care for her? Did you find another option for him?
A lot of options came in to Ruby via Chris, but Chris rejected all those offers. He would offer.
Why did he do that?
Chris rejected all his offers because he was unemployed. The only source of income towards the rent was from Ruby's disability checks and her Social Security. Chris has no income since 2002.
And that raised a red flag too.
If Ruby would have gone into a nursing home, all of her income would have gone to the nursing home, and Chris would have been left
No
with
money for
nothing.
Chris.
Exactly.
What do you need to actually make that convincing to a jury when you're looking at a case like this?
What's hard about neglect is we're proving an inaction. We're proving that someone didn't do something rather than that someone shot somebody or stabbed somebody. So it's a very different kind of crime for the criminal justice system. So we have to prove not only what kind of care someone who's bedbound like Ruby should be getting, but also what kind of care they were actually getting, and then what happened as a result of that care not being given properly. Okay. So in other words, we had to show that someone in Ruby's condition needed a certain type of care. We had to establish what Christopher Wise was actually doing to care for her, and then we had to prove that his inaction or his improper care actually caused Ruby to be in the condition she was in when she was found.
And I know a lot of people thought about, you saw Ruby Wise under the condition she was in, and you're talking to Christopher Wise now. Couldn't you have placed him under arrest, read him his rights, and so forth? I said not necessarily. He was still in the comfort of his own home, and then this is just the initial part of the investigation. I'm not accusing Christopher Wise just yet of what happened to Ruby Wise. I need to get the background to form my foundation for the case against him. So don't feel afraid that you have to read him his rights right away.
So take your time, build the case,
Right.
and work with the key people on this.
Exactly. I mean, I know a lot of people, a lot of other detectives that came out to help me said, we should arrest him, we should arrest him. I said, no, let's keep going and see what other evidence we can get. Then we'll arrest him.
What about a motive? I mean, I know you guys looked at the financial part of this because he's not working at the time. And he's benefiting from the money that she gets every month, what, $2,000 disability, right?
Right.
Okay, so was that a key part of that, finding out, could that be a motive in this?
It's a really key part of that. I think in a lot of cases that we see where there is neglect going on, especially within a family, if the caregiver is someone who simply is unskilled and doesn't know what to do and has always deferred to the person they're taking care of and really never taken the opportunity to take responsibility for someone else, they may not be guilty of a crime. Right. But when someone has financial motive, like Christopher Wise did, to keep an elder or a disabled adult in the home and keep them from getting the care that they need, then it becomes more likely to be criminal.
Anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add what an outstanding investigation Detective Doe and his colleagues at the Sheriff's Office did on this case. They really collected every conceivable piece of evidence. They interviewed every conceivable witness, and they handed to us this huge case that really gave us the ability to go forward. We had a lot of witnesses to choose from that we could subpoena to testify. We had a great deal of evidence to choose from that we wanted to put on a trial, but we were really able to put our case together because of this very, very thorough investigation they had conducted. It's because of that we now have this model for how these neglect cases should be investigated that I hope will give us the ability to handle them better in the future.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Tim.